Hey gang, I spent all week working on this. Check it out. Welcome to the first real content lesson. You can find a PDF of the book on Blackboard. It's honestly not that great because I had to scan it in with my phone, one page at a time. It should be legible, but sorry about that. I couldn't actually find a digital version, but I really want y'all to save that $100, so I did it for y'all. The syllabus on Blackboard has a very in-depth reading schedule, but a lot of that is extra info. Mandatory readings, the things you need to complete the course, I will send emails about, and they will also be saved in the announcements on Blackboard. With regards to the discussion board that I had y'all do, I looked over those. Thank you very much for giving me that information, and your needs and your wants. One thing, some questions that I noticed that came up a lot was questions about the assignment and needing a really solid assignment schedule and wanting that ahead of time. Like I said in the last video, all assignments are open all semester. So you'll have to make your own schedule. I can, I guess, put recommended due dates on them, and obviously in order is going to be a good way to do them. But you get to decide for yourself around your work schedule and your needs and your other classes when you will be able to complete an assignment. I do recommend not putting them off till the last minute. That's just going to make it a lot harder and it's going to add up really quickly. I saw a lot of comments about a need for clear instructions on what's expected, and so I will do my best to make it abundantly clear what is required of you for each assignment. The basic idea is if you get all your assignments in, you're going to be okay. So long as you do not have any plagiarism. No copying and pasting from other students, past or present. No copying or pasting from the internet or any other source, because I'll be able to tell. Other than that, if you can show that you put clear thought into the assignment and demonstrate an understanding of the material, like don't misuse terms and things like that, you should be all set for a decent grade. I know I said it's my hardest class, but that's mostly just because of the volume of assignments. And like I said, I want this class to work for y'all, so we may even have some wiggle room there. The live meetings that I was talking about are totally optional. If you want to just use these videos and the materials on Blackboard and just do the work, that's fine by me, as long as you get it done. As for when we have the live meetings, it's a lot of variance in schedules. It's a pretty good split between people who would prefer morning and evening. So I was thinking maybe Monday mornings and Tuesday evenings. We'll have to iron out some details there. But I do want to have that available so that y'all have a direct line to me that's not just email or the questions board on Blackboard. Both of those are very viable, though. Good ways to reach me. Yeah, there's just a discussion board on Blackboard that's questions for the professor. So feel free to put stuff in there. Let's see. I got a question about collaboration. I'm all for collaboration. I want y'all to work together. So whether you want me to make discussion boards for y'all to meet, I can make a discussion board for each assignment and y'all could get together and talk about stuff. That'd be cool. Feel free to make a group me or whatever that shit is. I know that has been a thing in my previous classes, and it reminds me of the one time I got a hold of it and everybody, like, a student foolishly handed me her phone, and so I was like, oh, what are all these messages? And so it was, all of a sudden it was full of messages like, nobody say anything, she's looking at it. It was hilarious. One of the high points of my teaching career. That's kind of sad. All right. What else? Collaboration's fine. I guess let's go on to the content. So, your first mandatory reading is going to be in the book, pages 1 through 19. This is sort of an introduction to the book and to law. It's pages 1 through 19 of the book. I'm going to try to make it so that the PDF of the book starts page 1 on page 1. But I want y'all to have like the preface and the table of contents and that stuff too. I'm going to try to figure that out. Just don't think that I am talking about reading the what's it called, the publisher information and stuff like that. That's not important unless you just really care. It's not a ton of pages, 1 to 19 pages. But this material is dense. It's well, I can show you, like, look at this. It's dense. There's a lot packed into each page that you need to be able to pay attention to. This is a pretty good introduction to how reading is going to be in law school. So, my recommendation, bust a highlighter out. Well, I guess you can't use a highlighter on a PDF. See if you can highlight on the PDF. But take notes while you read. Put digital bookmarks on the PDF. Like comment stuff out on it. I guess that's kind of like a digital version of a little post-it sticky notes. Y'all may be better acquainted with how to do things digitally than I am. If you want to print out all, what is this, 900 pages? 800 pages of this book and have a physical copy, that's fine with me, but that might use up a lot of your printing pages allotment or be very expensive. So, whatever. But what I want to do with this video is go over some of the things that I want you to make sure that you get out of this reading so that you know to look for it and know that you're able to answer these questions and talk about these ideas. And we can talk about them more, of course. But your first assignment will be based on these pages. So, what you need to get out of this... Sorry, it's probably pretty obvious that I'm looking at my notes. Let's see. Alright, so it's going to start off talking about different sources of law. And some of those are legislative. That means the Congress, the people who get together and write laws. There's also the executive branch, which does make laws through regulatory law or administrative law. So that would be things like the FDA. And then there's judicial law, the common law, which is law made by judges, which is a significant portion of the law that impacts us here in America. Another thing I want you to make sure to understand is the difference between civil law and criminal law. Those are two different things. As well as what the book is talking about when it talks about procedural law versus substantive law. The basic structure of the American legal system gets a little touch on next. Main thing I want you to get there is the difference between federal law and state law. I'm going to say law about 47 more times just because I'm already sick of hearing myself say it. But yes, our legal system is divided in two layers, the federal and state. And they do mix, but we can talk about that. But then the real meat and potatoes, the main thing that I want you to get out of this reading are the philosophical ideas of deontology and utilitarianism. What are they? How are they defined? What does it mean to analyze something through a deontological point of view? And who are some of the major thinkers there? So, just as a little introduction, utilitarianism is the idea that we should take actions that produce the most good for the most people. This is you'll find the names in there of Bentham and Mill. Those are two very important utilitarian thinkers, so be sure to learn who they are and what they said. But how does this idea of utilitarianism shape how we would make decisions? Especially, how would it shape the laws that we pass and the things that we try to accomplish with the law? So if that's our goal, making the most good for the most people, how might that impact some of the decisions we make just in day-to-day life, but especially on these big public policy issues? And the book has that example of the lifeboat. So think through that as a good thought exercise of what it means and how we decide what's right and what's wrong, what's allowed and what is impermissible. But also be sure to figure out some potential problems with this philosophy. What might be wrong with this? One pretty good one is, how do we decide what's actually good for the most people? We still have to have some kind of basis of deciding what is good. What is utility? And what actions will get us there? On the flip side, we have deontology. This is a philosophy in which the name Kant will come up quite a bit, K-A-N-T. So learn who he is and what he had to say. The idea behind deontology is that there's some underlying duty, whether it comes from God or nature or morality. We have duties that we have to follow. So rather than looking at the outcome, rather than looking at consequences, we ask ourselves, what's right on the front end? So whereas utilitarianism is a very consequentialist philosophy, deontology is the opposite. It's not the consequences, but our motivations. So how does that give us directions in making law? How does that contrast with utilitarianism? How might we come to different outcomes on the same topic, depending on what our motivation is, whether it's to do the right thing or have the best outcome? With regards to how do we decide what the right thing even is, which is a problem with any question based around morality or duty, or any kind of natural question like that, Kant had the idea for the categorical imperative. So I'm going to need y'all to figure out what that is. What does Kant mean when he says we can decide what our duties are by looking at the categorical imperative? It is kind of like, basically, what if everybody did that thing? Would that be okay? But give that a read, figure that out, make notes about it. What else? How does it shape our decision-making process? And what problems does it bring up? These two ideas, deontology and utilitarianism, are going to run as threads through every other topic that we talk about, so it's important that you understand them now. It's going to be related to any kind of understanding of natural law versus positive law, of consequentialism, and as you read through the example in the lifeboat, be thinking about that. After that, it goes into Nuremberg, the Nuremberg trials. This was the trial of the Nazis after World War II. So, of course, we had to bring them to some kind of justice. We couldn't just let them get away for holocausting millions of people and just really messing Europe up. But the laws around war crimes didn't exist when they did them. We didn't have any kind of law on the books like, you're not allowed to kill 6 million Jews. Now, yeah, there's murder, but that's within states. So if a neighboring country does this, what legal authority is there to even say you can't do that to your own people? There's this idea of sovereignty. Countries get to say what happens within their own borders. At the same time, we can't just let them run off to Argentina, although many did. So we have to do something. So they wrote they wrote laws about war crimes. They made it a crime internationally. The problem is, this raises a lot of issues with the idea that we shouldn't punish people for ex post facto laws. This is the idea that we can't punish someone for an act committed before it was actually a crime. So, like, if I'm walking down the street eating a delicious popsicle on a Tuesday, and then on Wednesday they pass a law making popsicles illegal, well, what I did on Tuesday wasn't a crime then, so you can't arrest me for it. No ex post facto laws was one of the founding ideas of our country. Like, that was something that was a real problem, is that they would make something illegal and then arrest you if you had done it at any time in the past. So that's a big problem. No ex post facto laws is also why there's always a huge surge in gun and ammo sales anytime a Democrat gets elected, because they think, oh, they're gonna take all my guns, it's gonna make it illegal, so if you buy all the ammo when it's legal, they can't arrest you later. Something interesting. Anyway, how do we get around that problem? Do our precepts and philosophies just not actually mean anything? I don't know, but we gotta put those Nazis in jail. Which makes it really weird seeing Nazis walk the street of my beloved North Carolina, since that stuff is crimes now. But we can talk about modern Nazis later. For now, that's enough. Read pages 1 to 19, figure out deontology and utilitarianism, and wrap your head around why putting the Nazis on trial was a problem. Why was it criticized, and what issues were there? That's about it for this lesson. It's already, oh my god, it's already almost 20 minutes long. Well, that's plenty from me. So, hit me on the discussion board if you have any questions. I'll try to figure out when exactly we can set up some kind of live Zoom time to talk about your questions around this material. And there's an assignment about this section of the book, so be looking for that, and go ahead and do it if you like. Beyond that, I think that's everything. So I will talk to y'all later. Bye.